everyone. Welcome to another episode of An Allocator's View. I'm your host, Sovaida Norona, and I'm excited to be joined here by Reggie Ford, motivational speaker, bestselling author, and president of RoseCrete Wealth Management. We will tackle key themes surrounding perseverance, mental health, DE&I, asset allocation, and the black tax. Reggie, thank you for being here with me today. We've got a packed conversation ahead of us. So let's get started. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you, what you do, who you are, and who you serve.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate your outreach and then this opportunity. So I really want to just extend that to you. I am, you mentioned a little bit, but founder and president of RoseCrete Wealth Management. The name I feel is very significant to my story and the ideals that I like to celebrate, but the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete through all the perceived impossibilities and adversity, it rose and it grew. And I see that as a metaphor for my life and epitome of the things that I've gone through, being born to for the world that I'm in and working in now, like a totally non-traditional route to that. Teenage mother, incarcerated father, growing up in poverty, not ever being exposed to true wealth or wealth management or anything of that sort, and being in the position that I'm in through, great opportunities and education and just a lot of great people pouring into me. And so I think my journey to getting to this point has been one, gratitude at looking at all those different things that have shaped me, but then also taking advantage of those opportunities and learning from each and every person that I've encountered along the way. So yeah, a little bit about me. My book is nothing about my financial world or life or anything like that. It's much more of a biographical account of my life through the lenses of mental health and social justice. And I think readers could definitely get a deeper sense of who I am and where I've been. But that's a little bit about me.
Wow, you mentioned your book. What's the name of your book?
The book is called Perseverance Through Severe Dysfunction. PTSD is the acronym.
And you can be purchased on Amazon, I presume?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Target. I think pretty much anywhere you can buy a book, I think you can get it. And if you like to support local bookstores, they may not have it on the shelf, but you can request it and they can have it sent to that place. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how did this book come about?
It came about it was actually an accident. So I was journaling.
A good accident.
Yeah, a great accident. Yeah. I was journaling. I do a lot of writing just for myself, for myself personally, as a form of, creative expression, but also as what I didn't know at the time, but form of therapy for me. And I started journaling during a trying time in my life when the people that I loved most dearly were kind of fading away due to death and estrangement and all types of things. And so it helped me just to write the feelings, the thoughts that were happening around that time. And then I started to share. I started to be more vulnerable about the things that I was experiencing with people verbally. And that was something that I had rarely done prior to that. But in sharing that, there was this resounding sense of like connectedness and people relating to my story, even though they had totally different backstories and totally different family dynamics. But there was this common thread that we all experience as humans. And I think that was the piece that made me feel like the book could be helpful for more people. And so the journal turned into, let's edit it. Let's really create a book and add in different components that really speak to a broader audience and not just a story of a young man growing up, but something that could connect to more people.
And then RoseCrete Wealth Management, that's your firm.
Mm-hmm.
And that firm, from an RIA standpoint, who are the clients that you serve there? And how does your book or your life relate to that?
Yeah. So like I said, the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete, I like to use the phrase I am the rose, right? I am that rose that grew from a crack in the concrete, and my clients are those roses.
Yeah.
I see my clients as people who have similar stories as I have, being first generation college graduates to go on to do things in industry that no one in their family has ever dreamed of. To early on starting the business, worked with a lot of professional athletes who had opportunities to change the course of their family's legacy. And then honestly, I see so many people as the rose because there is adversity that we all face, whether it be very big, very small, not to compare because I don't like to compare. I say I don't play trauma Olympics, but there is adversity that we all face, and to overcome that adversity to be a success in whatever it is, financial success. Those are the folks that I gravitate towards. I love stories. I love hearing people's stories and helping them reach places that they probably otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to reach.
That's amazing. That honestly, that's amazing. So then what does wealth look like to you?
Yeah, I think for me it's much more of a mindset than
Right.
anything. And because I've seen people who have tremendous amounts of money, but their mindset doesn't necessarily equate to wealth. And you see that in the behaviors, in the amounts of stress and anxiety that even with all the money that they have, they are still, suffering behind the pursuit of a dollar. And I see, wealth is truly understanding the abundance that you possess, whether it be a lot of money or not. And honestly, I think of wealth as a very long term type of mindset where today, like the financial decisions that I make or we make today aren't necessarily impacting me today. It's impacting generations down the line. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 generations down the line. If I go out and make a large purchase, or if I go out and invest in something, my day to day isn't going to change, but it will change for someone down the line. So I look at wealth as the ability to impact those generations.
I love that. And so what are some of the challenges you're facing or hearing from your colleagues being a Black advisor in this industry?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's one I'll be blunt on because I've had friends and people who are very honest with me, and I'm very transparent and vulnerable in the way that I express myself, and so I think that opens the door for people to be the same way to me. And I've had Black friends, white friends who have straight up told me like, I'm not investing with you. I'm not working with you. I'm working with this white person. I've had that happen, and I've had other advisors who are in the industry, Black and white, tell me that I will not get certain accounts and certain clients because I am young and Black. And that is I mean, it stings to hear that and to know that you're up against such odds. And this may be something that is unique to the South. I don't know. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, but to have people that I know who love me and who trust me, but still won't make
Invest.
that leap to invest with me is a difficult thing. And I've heard other advisors mention a lot of the same things. And so to be able to garner the trust of so many people, but yet there's still a stigma behind, because I'm not the um archetype for a
Yeah.
financial advisor, right? I'm not an older white man with gray hair. I've been told many times I need gray hair. And I have some. If you could look, but I try not to make excuses for it, but I know that those obstacles definitely exist. And even being young, I talk to older advisors,
Yeah.
older Black advisors, and the things that I have come up against, they've dealt with 10 times more. And when I mention my assets under management versus theirs, there's like they're sometimes very taken aback by how I've been able to grow my business because it's been so difficult, even decades in the industry for them. So I'm very fortunate, but there are definitely challenges there.
Yeah, and DE&I is a term we keep hearing across the industry. As a Black advisor, what does it mean to you?
That's a great question. So
Sorry, just being right up front, right there.
yeah, no, I think DEI, like diversity, they all each one of those words has a different you know attitude toward it, right? Diversity in itself is just a numbers game, right? Like you can add a bunch of different people, bunch of different ages, bunch of different genders, and all of that, and consider yourself diverse. But if the attitudes behind it, if the mentality and the treatment and the true significant um, thoughts behind what you're doing with your people aren't inclusive, then it's all for nothing, right? I've been in places that are diverse in numbers, but mindsets haven't been shifted. And so when I think of all of those components together, diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think of a place or places where people feel most free to be their authentic selves and
Yeah.
don't have to hide parts of them to show up at work, to show up in front of clients, to show up in meetings, and that be embraced, and not just embraced but celebrated. And so that is what I see and hope for throughout the industry and throughout all industries.
Wow. Um, so how, in your opinion, can the wealth industry move forward to become more inclusive?
So being in Nashville, we have a number of HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. And oftentimes with financial companies here, with other healthcare companies, with tech company, whatever it may be, the excuse for not having a diverse employee base is that there isn't enough talent to choose from. And I just think that is a big excuse. And honestly, like there's so much talent that is coming from schools like
Yeah.
Tennessee State University, like Fisk University, like Meharry, that are right here in our city. And that could be if recruiting efforts were put toward those schools and truly understanding that, for any job that I've ever worked at, like there was training on the front end and
Yeah.
my ability to adapt and learn is very high. And so if I was in a situation where I didn't get the opportunity, that would just leave me out of the loop. And so I feel that better recruitment of schools like that would be a really a big benefit to the industry as a whole.
And now, from an advisory perspective, thinking of DE&I because it's a terminology that we again keep on hearing. Um, how do you think, or how should advisors and companies look at that terminology, and how should they use that terminology to be more, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, be more intentional with it.
Yeah. I think first, like you said, like terminology and language matters. And so often you hear like DEI initiative, DEI initiative, and that instantly triggers to me that
Yeah.
it is something that is short lived, that it is something that is not going to be pervasive or a commitment to an organization. And so to look at DEI as just that, a commitment, overall commitment from top down on how you're going to proceed in business in life, and like especially in life, like
Yeah.
it can't stop at the door when you walk out of work or walk into work. It has to be pervasive throughout your life, throughout your organization. So that means when you're thinking about uh, things under the CFO's role, you're thinking about them through a lens of DEI. When you think about marketing, you're thinking about them through a lens of DEI. All aspects of the business. That way, you don't like not. It shouldn't be siloed, and if it is siloed, then I don't think it'll be truly successful. And so I think when you look at it from a actual commitment, not an
Mhm.
initiative, not anything that is short lived, not anything that's a fad, not anything that is just for likes on social media or to get good praise in the media right now, but as a true commitment that you live by.
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, when you Google Reggie Ford, and you come across your website, you talk about self-sabotaging. You talk about the fear that is rooted from the unknown. What do you mean by self-sabotaging?
Ooh, we're getting deep. I like that. So I think hallmark of many trauma survivors, you can gather that from my title of my book, Perseverance Through Severe Dysfunction. There's trauma there. Hallmark of many trauma survivors is this really great and uncanny ability to self-sabotage, even the
Yeah.
greatest opportunities. And I think back over my life, many different things, many different times where I've sabotaged my success or the things that could come from the things that I was doing. One of the earliest is I had opportunities to go to any college in the country, being Ivy League, Harvard, Yale, Penn, like all those different schools. But in my mind, because I had such a low self value, like a low view of myself,
Yeah.
that
Low
I didn't
self-esteem.
low
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem and didn't believe that I belonged at a place like that because of the inputs that I had been given and fed throughout my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sabotaged myself when it came to standardized tests and things of that sort. And even the unconscious, like I was very conscious in making those decisions, but even the unconscious around the opportunities or the choices that I make on a daily basis,
Yeah.
preventing that next level. And going to your other part about uncertainty, like the uncertainty of what does it look like if you succeed at a very high level, and are you
Mm-hmm.
ready for that? Are you ready for the expectations that come behind that? Are you ready for the praise and the everything else that comes with that? Sometimes I think unconsciously we make decisions that are not in our best effort because, or not in our best interest because of that fear of success even. And so I that's one of the things that I try to be very mindful of in my own life and get outside objective feedback on decisions and ideas and ways that I'm thinking about things, because I know that my lens is clouded through different experiences. And to get someone who hasn't experienced life the way that I have to provide input is very helpful for me so that I can make a more rational decision as opposed to emotional.
Oh my God, yeah, 100%. And from your advisory practice standpoint, how has that affected your advisory practice? Has that affected clients? For how do you connect with your clients when when they're self-sabotaging themselves as well?
Yeah, I think so. I'll answer it both ways, but
Yeah,
I think from internally, I think it definitely impacts the way that I even think about, especially like getting the comment, right? Like
yeah,
you're not gonna get the pension fund, you're not going to because you're young and you're black. So like then the self sabotage is like, okay, well I'm not even gonna make that call, right? And if you don't make the call, the answers are already no, right? And so I think it shows up in that way from the business perspective. But then when looking at clients, I think there is, especially working with the Roses of the world, right, who have
yeah.
not experienced the level of wealth that they have, the level of income that they have, and there are mindsets around money, and there's psychology there at play, and it may be a scarcity mindset where it's like I don't want to even put anything at risk, and so I'm hoarding everything in a checking account, which is self-sabotaging in itself. Or I've done so well and I didn't have anything in the past, and so I'm going to show the world that I made it by spending and showing and all this luxury and lavish, which is also sabotaging the potential to affect those generations down the line. And so I think it's a matter of getting to the root of what those issues are, what the void is filling or trying to be filled, and yeah, addressing that so that you can live a healthier life all around.
Absolutely. And is that where behavioral finance comes in?
For sure, yeah. I think before any type of investing or any type of like true discussions on finance in particular today, we have to look at what is your relationship to money, what has it been over the course of your life, what were the examples that you got, and how does that impact how you deal with money today? Because those, I mean, like, you think we don't have many courses and classes throughout our upbringing in school to think about personal finance, to talk about that, to change our modes of behavior. A lot of what we know is what we see in the household. And so if the household has been impoverished forever and mindsets are this way, then how are you, without proper guidance, without actually intentional looking at that, going to change and deviate from that? You have to be exposed to something different. And so I think it is crucial, it's vital to understand a person's relationship with money prior to dealing with them and working with them today.
Is that an advice that you would give to advisors today as well? It's, get to learn, be educated on behavioral finance?
Absolutely. I think for anyone dealing with people and their money, understanding what their relationship with it, why is the tax, why are taxes so important to a person when they're not over here? Why is this person more risk averse versus this person? Like, understanding
Yeah.
what causes that, I think, is very important. Not just having that knowledge, because we do risk assessments, we get people's profiles and understand like where they are, but understanding why they are the way that they are.
Yeah. So I'm going to read this straight up because I don't want to get it wrong. But after our prep call a few weeks ago, I had to look up the term black tax. And for everyone out there, black tax is a term that originated in South Africa, which refers to money that Black workers, especially professionals, and other higher income, give to their parents, siblings, or other family members, often out of obligation or a deeply ingrained sense of family responsibility. Reggie, what is the concept of black tax here in the US, and how is it affecting you, your clients?
Yeah, I think so. There are two definitions of the black tax, and the one that you described is one that I think has historically been referred to as the black tax, and a much more shallow definition of what the black tax actually is here in the States. But like, to your point, I think for people who culturally don't grow up with the that feeling of obligation to the generations above them, the family around them, all of that, like, it's hard to understand why this young person, or this person in general who has been very successful financially, can't seem to get ahead, right? Because there's that obligation, like, you make it out and now you are providing for 5 people and 10 people and 20 people, and whatever, how great your salary is, how great your income is, whatever the liquidation event, like, it is being spread amongst so many people that it dilutes the impact that it could have on your life. And so that is one version of the black tax, but it's been challenged because, I mean, honestly, it's a cultural thing. And so if culturally you're white and that's a part of what you've learned, or you're Hispanic, or you're Asian, or whatever it may be, and that's a part of the way that you grew up, it can be applied to anyone. So it's not a black tax, it's a cultural tax on obligation. But in America, looking at like systems and things that have impacted disproportionately Black people over others, that is a much more deeper conversation around the black tax, on when you think about things like redlining and the ability to get credit, to then start the business, to then go on and be the success that you need to be, and or could be. Things that from just different policies in place that have disproportionately affected Black folks, in terms of home ownership, property ownership, other types of investments, being considered a accredited investor or not, or whatever it may be. Like,
Yeah.
there have been a lot of different things within, from a system level, that have either prevented Black people from obtaining the wealth and assets to then pass down to generations, or that have cost them more to get the same access to those things. And that has been calculated by numerous experts, far
Yeah.
greater mathematicians than I am. But in the trillions of dollars of impact over the course of, just call it a century. And that is what I think I look at when I think about the black tax.
And how dealing with your clients, have you come across that challenge with them?
I think it's interesting. So I think just from a employment standpoint,
Yeah,
looking at two very capable individuals and then seeing one how going back to self-sabotage or just
yeah,
internal messaging, how one may advocate for themselves over another, or how when they both advocate for themselves, one person comes out with a much greater salary, much greater stock options, much greater compensation package versus the other.
yeah,
And it's just like, wow. I see that, firsthand, I guess, and it is quite alarming at times to just see the contrast between the two. And then I have a white wife, and
yeah,
so we do social experiments all the time where, whether it's booking an Airbnb or getting appraisals, like the way that things are presented and by whom they're presented will change the outcome of things. And so I think it definitely still plays a role in life.
yeah, sure. And then can you share any advice for those advisors or clients that are, being affected by this, black tax? And it's not just, like you said, it's not just black tax. It could be a cultural tax because, there's so many other ethnicities that are, dealing with the same thing.
Yeah, I think that goes to it's shifting a lot. It's shifting huge paradigms within a person's concept of self and
Yeah,
family and all of that. But to get your clients to understand that, like, without taking care of themselves first, without truly setting themselves up, that they will not be the provider for the families that like they want to be, or as great as they could be. And so I think in that it comes with a lot of boundary setting boundaries so that you understand and your family understands that there is only so much that you can do at a given time because you're on a plane. You have a strategy to get yourself first under control, and then for those, again, going back to the definition of wealth, like the generations that come after you, right? I have a friend who wrote a book, and he talks the difference between legacy and expectation, where expectation are the generations up and them looking for funds and trying to benefit off of you, but then the legacy is everybody down, and how those are a direct conflict with each other at all times. So every dollar I give to moms, I can't give to a child. And so looking at legacy over expectation, and knowing that those who came before you set you up in a position to do the things that you do, but like to truly grow and change generations, it has to be downward.
yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. Um, we're gonna shift a little bit here and just I want to get your thoughts on investments and the last half of 2024. I can't believe we're already halfway through 2024. But answer as deep as you want, or just as fluffy as you want. We'll just have a little bit of fun with this. But first up, recession. Are we in a recession?
I don't think so. I'll preface this section of just saying, like, nothing that comes up or that I say is considered investment advice, tax advice, legal advice, and that you all should consider or consult your experts in that. But yeah, to answer that, I there are signs and there are leading indicators that show that we are, or but honestly, I think we have some weakening parts of our labor market that I think would suggest that we are. But I think from even just looking at Fed policy and things remaining unchanged for so long, and the growth in the market, I mean, we're still seeing tremendous growth. I don't think we're there,
Okay.
but we'll see. I think it's they. I think even if we are, I don't think it's one of those that is as frightful as we've heard that word in the past.
Okay. How to be more tax efficient?
Hmm. I like that. again, not advice to anyone, but I think some of the things that just off the top of my head, things that have come up in conversation with different folks is I love Roth conversions and backdoor Roths. That is something that I think people could benefit from tremendously, especially if you're strategic about placing high growth, extremely high growth assets within those accounts, and being strategic of where you place different assets. I think that is one that many people could benefit from, especially those who are high earners and can't necessarily access a tax deferred and tax free withdrawal. So that is one I think. And then just because this came up recently, the Augusta rule. The Augusta rule, named after the where the Masters are, Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah.
You get 14 days out of the year to rent out your dwelling without having to pay any taxes on that income. And so but a unique spin to that is if you're a business owner, or if you work from your home, there is an opportunity, again, consult your professionals around this, but there's an opportunity to rent out your home to your business and treat that as or not treat that income as taxable income. So I think that is one that is really neat, and especially for business owners. And then I think lastly, there's just like understanding, if you are a entrepreneur, the benefits of different types of solo plans. If you're a solo entrepreneur, solo 401k, the amount that you can stuff away into those accounts, and then what that does to you from a tax perspective is beautiful. I could keep going. 1031 exchanges, people take advantage of those. Like, yeah, so yeah.
Awesome. How do you feel about crypto?
I probably feel like most people feel. I don't really know. But I truly like. I think there is a place for it in people's accounts. I think it's a place for it, but I think once it stabilizes to a point where it's actually a currency, we won't see it as much as an investment. Maybe for kind of like how we look at forex trading and things like that. But like if it's currency, it's currency. It's a store of value, as opposed to it being an investment, which is what I think is considered as right now. And but what I really do like is the blockchain technology behind it. I like that application within the financial industry, but in all industries. I think that technology, when you look at that plus AI plus the advancements we're making in technology, I think that has tremendous potential.
All right. Presidential election.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's fun. It's fun because I think when election years, there's always some crazy noise. There's always a lot of fear-based campaigning and things like that. And I think we'll see a lot of that. I think we'll see it crank up. I think we'll see divisiveness and polarization. But truly, like I there will be change if administration changes. There'll be changes in policy and regulation. But from a long-term perspective, I don't worry about that, because I mean we've had a lot of presidents and a lot of changes, and the market tends to correct itself. And so I think we'll see some short-term adjustments and volatility and things like that, but I don't think it'll be long-lived.
Okay. What are the biggest risks that you're seeing or you see in the second half of 2024?
I kind of piggybacking off of my last question. I think the election is going to be a part of the risks that we see, just because I think the fear-based kind of campaigning that we'll see from both sides will create stir in the market, and make investors make decisions that are not necessarily rational, but definitely affect the way that investors behave.
Okay. And flip to that, opportunities. What are some of the opportunities you see?
Um, I think with where we are today compared to where we were couple years ago in terms of rates in our rate market right now. I think there's opportunity in fixed income that many people hadn't had an opportunity to see in many years. And so I think definitely looking at fixed income and staying tried and true to equity positions that feel strong. I don't want to get into any kind of advice there, but I think there's opportunity in fixed income that we probably haven't seen in a long time.
Okay. What's keeping you up at night?
My dog. My dog's
I
too
get.
big. She tries to sleep. No. I don't know. Like I try to stay away from anything that will stress me out in that way. I've had years of insomnia in the past, and to not be at that place right now is a beautiful thing. And so if there was something, I'm not thinking of it, but yeah, I'm sleeping pretty good, other than my dog stepping on my face every now and
I think the dog needs a dog bed.
then. She has one, but yeah, she prefers the bigger bed.
Dogs and kids both, right? They climb in when you least want them to be there. Reggie, this was honestly super insightful, super powerful. Your message is just beautiful. Thank you again for joining me and sharing your expertise, your thoughts, your perspective. And thank you for sharing it with our audience. Reggie will be speaking at our Private Wealth Central States Forum on August the 8th at the Four Seasons in Nashville. To register, please visit our event website, marketsgroup.org, or reach out to me at sovaida.norona@marketsgroup.org. And I look forward to seeing you in Nashville. And again, thank you so much for being here.